New patients get daily wear soft contacts or 2 pair of eyeglasses, single vision lenses, and the eye exam is included. That's 2 pair of high fashion eyeglasses or a pair of daily wear soft contacts, including eye exam, $49.99. Only at America's Best. Contacts and eyeglasses. Offer ends Saturday.
Tonight on Primetime News, Minnesota greets hundreds of athletes taking part in the upcoming Special Olympics. This is our top story for Friday, July 19th.
From KMSP Television, America's #1 independent station, this is Primetime News with Rob Grams, Heather Harden, meteorologist Joe Dandria, Perry Williams on sports, and the entire award-winning Primetime News team.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Organizers call it the world's largest private peacetime airlift.
Hundreds of corporate jets are flying nonstop into St. Paul's Holman Field. They're carrying Special Olympic athletes to the International Games getting underway this week in the Twin Cities.
As Maureen Reeder reports, transportation for the thousands of athletes and their coaches requires a massive volunteer effort.
The 200 private jets arrive and take off every 30 seconds from the St. Paul airport. On board, a cargo of 1,500 Special Olympic athletes from around the U.S. It's an all-volunteer airlift. The planes are donated by corporations. The pilots are volunteers.
It's unlike any other payload we've had. It's interesting. It's nice carrying people that really appreciate where you're taking them and looking forward to having a good time.
Volunteers even showed up to cheer the athletes as they arrive and escort them from the jets.
They get to be treated just like maybe the richest person in the world, like they are really a VIP and have earned this special treatment.
For pilots like Jim McKinley, it's a big kick carrying someone other than the CEOs he usually caters to.
Some of these folks had never been in an airplane before, and the ones that had, of course, had never been in a little airplane like this. So it was quite an experience all the way around for them and for us.
I've had pilots say, you know, they are the most appreciative passengers we've ever carried.
The airlift is just the first leg of a complex system of transportation set up for the athletes with mental retardation. Baggage travels by UPS trucks. The athletes travel by bus. Up to 300 buses must be coordinated to pick up and deliver some 8,000 athletes and their coaches during the 9-day event. So far, everything is on schedule.
Food! Water away for food! And this is just one wave of arrivals. In total, some 6,000 athletes from 90 different countries are arriving in the Twin Cities and settling into their dorm rooms tonight, getting ready for the special opening ceremonies tomorrow night. With photographer Rod Worminger, Maureen Reeder, Primetime News.
Come next Saturday when the Special Olympics is over, the whole airlift is repeated again to take the athletes home.
The 140 athletes that will represent Minnesota in the games were all together this morning. They met at a motel in Brooklyn Center where many spent the night getting ready for today. And with everybody ready, they were given a send-off celebration by family, friends, and dozens of volunteers. Each of the athletes were also given Good Luck Olympian medals before they boarded the buses that would take them to the sites of their competition and where they would be staying. And as the athletes began arriving, they were invited to practice at some of the sites of the competition. They included the Aquatic Center on the campus of the University of Minnesota. They will be hosting the diving and swimming competition there. And all the athletes will compete in 16 different sports that will be held at nearly 24 sites around the Twin Cities. And tomorrow, it's all for real.
An explosion and fire awakened residents and destroyed several businesses in Little Canada this morning. It happened just along Rice Street, just north of Highway 36. The explosion happened about 6:45 before many people had shown up for work. And Steve Goodspeed reports the timing may have saved a lot of lives.
We didn't grab anything. We just got the hell out.
Wandering outside his burned-out home this morning, Dennis Klein was one of a dozen people considering themselves lucky to be alive. The office building that had been next door when he went to bed last night blew up this morning, blasting his home and setting it on fire.
Me and my mom were both asleep, and we heard, the loud boom. I thought somebody drove through the house with a car. And we got up and started looking around, noticed the building next door was gone, and we got the heck out of the house, called the fire department, and got out.
I don't know, it blew, and right away I looked at the gas pump. I thought maybe it was and one of my delivery guys ran outside, and he came back in and said, make sure you call 911. By that time, I was already on the phone that the building had blew and it was leveled. It was pretty scary.
While shattering windows up and down the street, the blast leveled the office building, which had housed a couple of manufacturers' reps, a chiropractor, and a printing company. Firefighters from a half-dozen departments were called in, but the building was flattened.
The office complex was, even with the parking lot, flames were shooting 20 to 30 feet above the house.
With the explosion and the intense fire that followed, officials here say that losing 2 buildings and a lot of property is actually lucky. If it had all happened an hour or 2 later, many people would have been injured, if not killed. Larry Anderson's printing business is gone. He saw the flames when he came to work, but he knows what could have been.
There would have been nobody walking out of there. Yesterday, I had both my kids down there working all day long. I mean, I'm just thankful that no dude's in there.
Some firefighters were overcome by the heat, humidity, and smoke, but they came out of it okay. And it was the kind of day when many people realized just how much worse it could have been. With photographer Jim Connor, Steve Goodspeed, Primetime News in Little Canada.
While the cause of the explosion is under investigation, officials are checking reports of a gas leak in the area.
Thousands of cans of tuna have been recalled after some grocers and their customers found a second label underneath that said it was cat food. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration says as many as 30,000 cans may have been shipped with IGA labels over those that said Seventh Heaven cat food. Wisconsin-based Gateway Foods, which distributes the tuna in the Twin Cities, says despite the mix-up, the cans do contain tuna for human consumption, but can't explain why the wrong label was put on first. IGA, however, says it has sent samples to a laboratory in Oklahoma to make sure. FDA inspectors are also testing the tuna, and the results are expected within the next few days. Still to come tonight on Primetime News, police need your help in solving a hit-and-run accident.
Plus, drugs stolen from the University of Minnesota proved fatal. A complete report when we return.
Embers $3.99 steak and eggs, 2 farm fresh eggs, 3 buttermilk pancakes, hash brown potatoes, and a USDA choice sirloin steak, only $3.99, 24 hours a day for a limited time. Remember the Embers. You'll be glad you did.
Oh, it was nuts. Absolute chaos. Every day was a different surprise. I can't afford surprises. I have to find something to help me keep this place under control. That's exactly why we got this Honeywell control system. We're more efficient now, conserving raw materials, turning out a better product. I'm sure we can survive without it. But who just wants to survive?
When people depend on you, depend on Honeywell.
I'd like to share a great letter and a great improvement in Depend. Listen. Dear Jim,
when my grandson won his baseball championship, I was so proud, and I couldn't have been there without Depend.
Now Depend introduces a unique system of double-layered protection, Absorb Lock Plus. The top layer absorbs, the quilted layer locks liquid in.
June, thanks for one great day at the ballpark.
Isn't that terrific? Get back into life.
An important message for Buick owners. Some of your better Buick dealers' best-selling cars are pre-owned Buicks. And right now, inventories are running especially low. So now, during their big Buick buyback this week and this week only, get a special trade-in bonus guaranteed to take you out of your old Buick and into a new one. Plus, get up to $2,000 cash back direct from the factory on selected new Buick models. So bring your old Buick, bring your title to the big Buick buyback this week only, and only at your better Buick dealer. Your old Buick may never be worth more.
There is the possibility that deadly drugs stolen from the University of Minnesota could wind up for sale on city streets. Robin Robinson is here now with the details surrounding this drug theft that has already led to one death. Robin?
Well, Rod, over the weekend, over the 4th of July weekend, someone broke into a psychiatry lab at the U of M and stole drugs used in animal research. The prime suspect is dead, and police are working quickly to keep the stolen drugs from killing others.
Underneath Deal Hall is a maze of tunnels that winds through 300 U of M buildings. Campus police think a burglar used these tunnels to pull off the theft of dangerous drugs kept in a locked safe.
Someone had
come in through a tunnel that goes underneath the building. Had entered through a grate into a hallway, forced open the door, and apparently tried to open a small safe that was in that room. The safe was apparently moved from the room and dropped through this opening down into the tunnel, and it was opened down in the tunnel, and the contents taken.
The contents were various potent narcotics, etorphine, so lethal drug dealers wouldn't touch it. Another, etomidazine, is virtually unknown to drug experts except as a research chemical. The burglar also made off with PCP, also known as angel dust, a cocaine derivative, barbiturates, and amphetamines, and a substance called fentanyl, said to be 1,000 times the strength of morphine. U of M police drew up a list of names of those who could have had access to the safe and the drugs. It wasn't until yesterday that their search led them to this house here on 8th Street. They found their suspect dead, apparently of a drug overdose. There's no information on the dead man except he was found with vials of the drugs surrounding him. It's unclear whether the suspect kept all the drugs for himself.
If it's ascertained that drugs, not all the drugs are in the room where the body was found, then there's a danger that those drugs might be on the streets and that whoever takes drugs should be very cautious. But I want to emphasize that right now there's no knowledge that the drugs are out on the street.
But Paul Cheetah says it's certain the thief or thieves knew where the drugs were.
Obviously, from the circumstances, it appears that someone knew that that safe was in that room, and all the indicators are that it might have been an inside job.
Now, the Hennepin County medical examiner hasn't released the name of the suspect or the exact cause of death. All we know is that he's a 35-year-old white male. While the investigation continues, Minneapolis police want to warn as many people as they can to call the narcotics department if they come in contact with anyone selling those stolen drugs.
Okay, thank you very much, Robin. Heather?
The question over the legality of the Minneapolis School District's all-black academy is coming to a head. Last month, State Education Commissioner Gene Mamenga told district officials that they were running a racially identifiable school, which is not allowed under a U.S. Supreme Court decision. He then ordered the district to apply for a waiver from the state's desegregation rule, which required about a third of the students to be white. The school board says it will ask the state for an exemption.
In the wake of public outrage over several highly publicized crimes, independent Republican lawmakers are saying that they will be pushing for tougher penalties for criminals. 3 state senators criticized the recommended sentence for first-time rapists, saying that just under 5 years is, quote, insignificant and an insult to women.
Now, when we've been proposing these kinds of things in the past, the response that we've been getting is, and the word that was used was, that's draconian. I would suggest to you that the results of a rape or of child abuse is far worse and far more draconian than anything that we do to the perpetrator of the crime.
The senator said that the IR caucus will be pushing for changes next session, emphasizing victims' rights and mandatory prison time for those committing violent crimes against women.
A standoff between 2 tribal factions at a bingo hall near Baraboo, Wisconsin ended peacefully today. Sauk County police say about 40 people following newly elected tribal chairwoman Joanne Jones slept overnight in the Ho-Chunk Bingo Hall in an effort to close it down. But they left peacefully when sheriff officials seized the hall this afternoon and barricaded the grounds. No injuries or arrests were reported. Minneapolis police are looking for your help in a hit-and-run case. A 19-year-old woman was struck by a vehicle last Saturday as she fled from gunshots during the violence at the Skyway Theater. She was hit by a GMC truck, possibly white or gray in color. Authorities say there were many people near the accident and believe someone may have seen something. The woman suffered a broken leg and ribs. If you have any information on this, please call 673-3599, weekdays between 8 and 4. Coming up next in World News, fighting flares up again in northern Iraq.
And can James Baker convince Israel to take part in a Mideast peace plan? The story when we come back.
Junction, bigger and better than ever. Hundreds of video slots, live keno, high-stakes bingo, and blackjack. Now with a full bar and restaurant. The action never stops at Jackpot Junction.
I'm Paul Iverson from the Waterbed Factory. We have every type of waterbed imaginable, from hard sides to soft sides, with every accessory. Most importantly, Waterbed Factory will not be undersold. You have my personal guarantee.
Let us take the fear out of bankruptcy and Chapter 13. This is all we do. Stop garnishments, repossessions, foreclosures, harassment. We filed over 14,000 cases over the last 30 years. Call Jack Prescott today.
Muffler Clinic is more than low prices on lifetime warranted mufflers. Call Muffler Clinic for great prices on quality brakes, shocks, struts, and springs. Muffler Clinic, St. Louis Park, 920-5242. Muffler Clinic, guaranteed.
Here's some things you can get 1 year, 0% financing on right now at Best Buy. Get 0% financing on a camcorder, or a computer, or a camera. 0% financing on a boombox, a TV, or a cellular phone. Get 0% financing for 1 year on any purchase of $250 or more. But it's this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday only. So hurry to Best Buy.
You okay?
I feel so frail, not square like you.
Quaker Oat squares are more than just square. Whole grain oats sprinkled with brown sugar, and we stay crunchy.
Now I am depressed.
Quaker Oat squares. You'll love them from square one.
Secretary of State James Baker is in Egypt tonight meeting with President Hosni Mubarak.
The two leaders are trying to bring the Middle East closer together.
But as Linda Shearzer reports, Baker will be traveling to Israel on Sunday, where he will meet some stiff resistance.
In spite of Syria's reported thumbs up to the U.S. peace initiative, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir is in no rush to sign on and will likely tell that to Secretary of State James Baker when he arrives in Jerusalem. Syria's reply has made Shamir more cautious, even wary of Syria's motives for joining a peace process, especially because the U.S. has not forwarded the text of Syria's announcement to Jerusalem.
I didn't see it. I would like to see it.
What worries officials here is that the U.S. may have struck a deal with Syrian President Hafez Assad to entice Syria to join the peace process. The Israelis not only distrust Assad, they're afraid he may try to trap Israel into giving up territory.
We have to be cautious in the light of our experience with Assad and to know whether really the man has changed his position on the question of peace with Israel.
Shamir was irate that the G7 tried to exert outside pressure on the peace process by linking an end to the Arab economic boycott of Israel with a promise by Israel to stop expanding Jewish settlements. Shamir is also facing pressure from within his government. The right-wing Tahrir party is threatening to quit the cabinet if Shamir gives in to Baker. The right wing is against any role, even a passive one, for a UN representative at peace talks. And parties like Tahrir are adamant against allowing a peace conference to convene more than once.
If the process does start moving towards some resolution, at some stage of the game, they will most certainly pull out. And that would be enough to pull Shamir's government down.
Another potential problem is deciding who will represent Palestinians. Shamir is demanding that Israel maintain veto power over every Palestinian delegate. Palestinians argue that the choice of who will represent them is theirs alone.
However, we are quite willing to consider other options, including the joint Palestinian-Jordanian delegation, provided it is done on the basis of the recognition of the Palestinian right to self-determination.
Casting a somber shadow over Baker's visit were the funerals this week of 3 Israeli soldiers, all 3 members of an elite army unit. They were killed early Wednesday morning by Hezbollah gunmen in a fierce clash near Israel's self-declared security zone in South Lebanon. Their deaths were sad reminders of just how urgent Baker's mission is. Baker is not expected to leave Jerusalem with any answer in hand. Shamir's strategy has been to buy time. He has already turned down the U.S. peace initiative, and it will likely take strong guarantees from Baker for Shamir to change his mind. Linda Shearzer, CNN, Jerusalem.
While Secretary of State Baker wraps up his tour to Egypt, President Bush wraps up his tour to Greece. Bush is trying to resolve the Greek-Turkish dispute over Cyprus, and as Mary Tillotson reports, Bush heads to Turkey tomorrow.
After 2 days of playing host to President Bush, Greek Prime Minister Konstantin Mitsotakis has held out a tentative olive branch to Turkey that could help end the 17-year-old dispute over Cyprus. The island is now split in half by a line of UN troops trying to keep peace between minority Turkish Cypriots and the Greek Cypriot majority. Mitsotakis said Greece would drop its opposition to Turkey's entering the European Economic Community if Turkey would give significant ground on its territorial claims to Cyprus. Greeks have long been the vote at the EC that's kept Turkey locked out.
Certainly, yes. We have no reason to be against. If the problem of Cyprus is solved, we will support Turkey to approach to the community.
Did you send an offer to Ankara through George Bush?
I can't give answer to this question.
As he toured Greece with Mitsotakis, Mr. Bush himself defined his role this way.
The United States cannot dictate terms, but we can express a keen interest in being helpful. And I will be discussing that a little further today, and then we'll see what happens when I go and talk to my friend Mr. Ozal.
President Bush will be talking to his friend, Turkish President Turgut Özal, during a weekend visit to Ankara and Istanbul. The two presidents cooperated closely in the Gulf War. The Greek government is hoping Mr. Bush's closer relationship with Özal may be the key to opening up a Cyprus solution. Mary Tillotson, CNN, with the president in Athens.
Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev is facing mixed reviews after his three-day trip to London. Gorbachev boarded a plane earlier today after a last-minute meeting with former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. In the Soviet Union, newspapers were claiming that Gorbachev was ill-prepared during his meeting with the 7 leading industrialized nations. The paper said the president won't get the money he needs to save Moscow's failing economy. Gorbachev, however, says the meeting was the beginning of a long and promising process. The U.S. is keeping a watchful eye on a clash between Kurdish rebels and Iraqi troops. Officials say at least 100 people have been killed during a confrontation at a northern Iraqi checkpoint. But as Skip Loescher reports, the Pentagon cannot confirm any of the casualty figures.
When U.S. and coalition forces withdrew from northern Iraq, Kurdish refugees feared there would be Iraqi reprisals. Now that may be exactly what's happening.
We do have reports of fighting around Sulaymaniyah and Arbil between Kurds and Iraqi soldiers. At this point, we can't confirm the extent nor the cause of the clashes.
But at best, the situation right now is confusing. A UN official says its monitors there have reported that clashes with Iraqi troops sweeping near the Kurdish cities of Sulaymaniyah and Erbil have resulted in an estimated 500 people killed or injured. But Kurdish spokesmen tell different tales. One contends those clashes never happened. Most others claim they did. But only one of the Kurdish spokesmen say the casualty toll is over 100.
Reports indicate that the Kurds have captured some Iraqis, but there are various reports of the numbers killed and wounded.
It appears, says Boucher, that none of the fighting has occurred in the so-called security zone along the Turkish border. That's the area established by the U.S. and its coalition allies to protect Kurdish refugees. Administration officials traveling with the president in Greece say they're conferring with UN officials to see if the violence represents a violation of the ceasefire agreement with Iraq. U.S. officials have also confirmed that Saddam Hussein has resumed a military blockade of Shiite Muslims in the marshlands along the Iranian border. Saddam, say U.S. officials, is apparently trying to starve them into submission.
To us, this is simply one more example of Saddam Hussein's complete disregard for his obligations under the ceasefire agreement.
The U.S. Navy still has 2 carrier battle groups, each with a Marine Expeditionary Force within striking range of Iraq. And there are 46,000 U.S. ground troops and a wide array of combat aircraft on the ground in the region. Whether they will be used to end the internal conflict in Iraq can only be decided by the president. Skip Loescher, CNN, Washington.
Today was a little better than yesterday, but I didn't hear a lot of people go around bragging about that, saying, oh, this is so much better.
The sun was still pretty hot. We had a dew point drop at about 7 or 8 this morning. It was 70 degrees. By noon time, it was about 60, so it dropped about 10 degrees.
Nice rain overnight, too.
Right. Less humid, lots of sunshine. I'm afraid more moisture is building up, though, to the south, and it's heading in our direction. We'll have a look at it when we return.
Don Dixon, are you sure you're eating the most nutritious cornflakes?
I'd bet my shirt on it.
Joan Jennings, are you sure you're eating the best tasting cornflakes?
I'd bet the bank.
You may not know it, but there's a better cornflake from Total. Total cornflakes have 4 times the nutrition of Kellogg's, and they taste better, too. So before you bet on your cornflakes, remember, the best cornflakes are from Total.
This is Maximum Hoops presented by LA Gear.
Even though he stood only 6 feet 9 inches tall, this man stood as one of the outstanding centers of the 1970s. Name this man who was the NBA's last player coach.
Everything else is just hot air.
Dave Cowens led the Boston Celtics both as a player and from the bench during the 1978-79 season, coaching Boston to a 27-41 record. The league's most valuable player in 1973, Cowens is the last man to serve as an NBA player coach.
Today's the perfect day to do something special. Take a hike or swim.
Today's your day to get a Toyota Camry, the car that's ranked one of the top 10 models in initial quality. And your Toyota dealer wants to make today extra special with a special Camry lease program. Up to $900 in option package savings and big factory dealer incentives.
It's a great day to deal on Toyota Camry. Yeah. But you better hurry.
Wish I could tell you today's sunny, warm weather was going to last right through the weekend. Unfortunately, our satellite loop this evening painting a little different picture. Check it out. Here is the satellite loop for the last 8 hours. Mostly sunny skies, of course, across the state today, even clear this evening here in the eastern part of the state. But look what's going on to the west. Clouds are thickening up. Showers and thunderstorms are erupting across the western Dakotas. They've just put out a watch box for severe weather for the western Dakotas. That may be expanded eastward into the eastern Dakotas a little bit later on tonight, but nothing so far here in the Twin Cities. We did have some thunderstorms roll along the Iowa border just to the southeast of Rochester during the late afternoon, evening hours. Let's take a quick peek at the National Weather Service radar, see if anything is left of those. And looks like within 180 nautical miles, nothing showing up around the Twin Cities area. And looks like we'll stay dry here probably for the next several hours or so. Well, today, lots of bright sunshine, of course. The dew point drop, that helped a little bit. And we had a temperature drop, too, of about 5 degrees, 89 for the late afternoon high. 71 was our morning low. And the record today is 100, set back in 1977. Sunset tomorrow now, 8:53. It's starting to set earlier. We lose a couple of minutes now every day. Okay, here's what's going on now. Partly cloudy, 82 degrees. Our dew point is at 65, so that has creeped up. It was around 60 earlier this afternoon. Relative humidity, 56%. East winds are at 7, and the pressure steady, 29.91. Kind of a warm evening still across most of the 5-state region. Many areas still reporting temperatures in the 80s, mid-80s out to the west at Pierce, South Dakota, 84 also at Des Moines, Iowa, 85 at Milwaukee. They were in the 90s a little bit earlier on today. 70s mostly across Minnesota, Rochester at 75, Duluth 70, International Falls at 73 as of 9 o'clock. Here's a weak area of high pressure responsible for our gorgeous weather today. That is just going to fizzle later tonight as low pressure now in eastern Montana gradually moves east. It's also going to lift this cool front, or the stationary front, back to the north as a warm front, so that'll bring some of that hot, humid air north from the south. We also have some Pacific moisture moving in over the mountains. So all the ingredients appear to be coming together for a pretty good rainfall event. Again, over portions of especially central and southern Minnesota, but I think most of the state will pick up some rain later tonight and tomorrow. Look at the radar picture, shows all those showers and thunderstorms beginning to develop out to the west of us. It was kind of an active day to the south and east as well, just north of Palm Beach, Florida. Over 3 inches of rain was reported, and these storms produced some severe weather, downing trees and power lines in parts of New York State and also Vermont today, but that's beginning to quiet down out there now. High temperatures again broke records across the east from South Bend, Indiana, all the way up to Caribou, Maine, where it was 95 degrees this afternoon. The hot spot in the nation, Hutchinson, Kansas, 109 degrees. I think we'll stay in the 80s because of all the clouds. Matter of fact, some areas may not even get out of the 70s over portions of Minnesota if it stays cloudy and wet enough. And that certainly looks like the picture for tomorrow as low pressure rolls eastward along the South Dakota-Nebraska border, then into northern Iowa. Pretty good chance of showers and thunderstorms over the entire state, probably clearing out in the northwestern part of Minnesota during the afternoon hours, the way it looks right now, and then perhaps across the entire region by Sunday. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Sunday will be a little nicer day. Look at this, steamy 95 in Chicago tomorrow, 91 expected in Atlanta, 94 in Houston, 92 again in Denver. A little bit cooler up to the north and west. Regina, Saskatchewan at 75. It's also going to be high in the Seattle area. Look at these high temperatures here. Generally the 80s over most of Minnesota and Wisconsin. The 90s are close by. Extreme southwest part of the state into Iowa and South Dakota. Here's the way our Twin Cities forecast shapes up for this weekend. We're looking for increasing clouds tonight, some showers, a few claps of thunder developing late tonight or toward morning. Lows of 65 to 70 with the east to southeast wind at about 5 to 10. Then tomorrow I think we will see some rain. Mostly cloudy skies, showers and thunderstorms occasionally through the day with high temperatures in the lower 80s. Southeast winds about 6 to 14 miles an hour. For tomorrow night, warm and humid again. Some scattered storms should still be around with a low temperature right around 70 degrees. And then for Sunday, partly cloudy. There's a slight chance for a morning shower with highs middle to upper 80s. So, Rod and Heather, right now it looks like Sunday should be the better day of the weekend.
But those days are getting shorter every day.
A couple of minutes, yeah.
Summer's on its way down.
It's not that noticeable yet, you pessimist. Thank you, Joe. There's still much more to come tonight on Primetime News. New drugs for the aged.
And a theft ring run by 4-year-olds.
But first, tonight's Daily 3 numbers.
We're planning on staying up anyway. Why not do it with Arsenio? Tonight, he's got the high-energy, high-voltage rock and roll sounds of Living Color. Plus, heartthrob Jason Bateman with the latest word on the Hogan family. Tonight, this is the place to be, so stay up for the next Arsenio Hall Show. Tonight at 10:35 on Receptive Channel 9.
An important message for Buick owners. Some of your better Buick dealers' best-selling cars are pre-owned Buicks. And right now, inventories are running especially low. So now, during their big Buick buyback this week and this week only, get a special trade-in bonus guaranteed to take you out of your old Buick and into a new one. Plus, get up to $2,000 cash back direct from the factory on selected new Buick models. So bring your old Buick, bring your title to the big Buick buyback this week only and only at your better Buick dealer. Your old Buick may never be worth more.
Summertime in Minnesota, the perfect time for Minnesota Gold Meats. Introducing the best-tasting meats from Minnesota, each as mouth-watering as the next. Minnesota Gold Meats. Somehow, picnics just got better.
Carpet King, the best-known brands at the best-known prices. For 2 weeks only, 25% off name-brand carpets, plus a bonus 25% off padding and labor. Another great bargain at Carpet King. Our prices make us famous.
Do you question the system? Don't let your rights be ignored. I'm Paris Getty, and I'll stand up for you anywhere, anytime. Get an attorney who knows the law and how to make it work for you.
Put an aggressive lawyer in your corner. Get Getty.
Great garage door company.
Great steel doors.
Great wood doors.
Great electric openers.
Great prices.
Great service and repair.
Great garage door company. We treat you great. Call for news.
Sunday at noon, Mayor Winningham stars in Missing Children, a mother's story. At 2, Burt Reynolds stars in Hunters Are for Killing. Then at 5, Tim Matheson and Kate Capshaw star in A Little Sex. Sunday, only on Receptive Channel 9.
Coming up next, new drugs for the elderly. In medical news tonight, the U.S. pharmaceutical industry is responding to an aging population by developing new drugs.
They hope the new prescriptions can treat everything from Alzheimer's to arthritis. Gary Tuchman has more.
Now we know what day it is, we know where we're at, and we know who's here. Now we're going to find out what we're going to do today.
These are the faces of people who have been robbed of parts of their memories. Most of the men and women at this clinic at the University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey are Alzheimer's patients. And many of them are taking drugs that are considered experimental.
Do the drugs work? Yes, they do work to some extent. The question before the FDA, the question before the pharmaceutical companies and people like me who conduct these trials is the improvement good enough to mandate making this drug available on a widespread basis to all these patients?
There has been a virtual explosion of medicines being developed for older Americans. Currently, 329 drugs are being developed to treat diseases ranging from Alzheimer's to cancer to arthritis. That's almost 30% more drugs than were being developed 2 years ago.
Clearly, with the aging population, there are many disease states that are not adequately controlled now, and we and probably every other pharmaceutical company are focusing much of our effort on the diseases of the elderly.
Approving those drugs, however, can be a lengthy process. Just this week, an FDA advisory committee declined to approve an Alzheimer's drug, saying that so far there is insufficient evidence that it works. However, the drug called Paclin will be tested on tens of thousands of people in a new clinical study.
When you are seeing patients, you truly can tell them, well, we may not have something for this today, but just hang on because there are encouraging compounds in the pipeline.
The medical director of the Cattery residence, a New York nursing home, says the importance of exercise and nutrition cannot be overestimated, while side effects from drugs unfortunately cannot be ignored. But when one has a disease such as Alzheimer's, there is often a family member out there who will keep hoping for that quick fix.
What year is it now? 1924? No, it's not 1924. 1921.
But who will often gladly settle for a little improvement. Gary Tuckman, CNN, New York.
Controversy is brewing tonight over a Senate bill on AIDS testing for healthcare workers. The Senate approved criminal penalties yesterday for AIDS-infected doctors who failed to notify their patients. As John Holloman reports, the medical community is quick to strike back.
Senator Jesse Helms certainly knows how to stir a hornet's nest of controversy.
So don't talk about me, don't talk to me about 10 years being too severe. I'm so old-fashioned that I believe in horsewhipping. I feel that strongly about it. And you consider whether your wife or husband or children or grandchildren could be subject to this sort of thing.
The Helms Amendment passed the Senate 81 to 18. In addition to 10-year jail terms, his measure calls for a $10,000 fine for healthcare workers who know they had AIDS but failed to tell their patients. Reaction has been fast and mostly negative.
I think our Congress is a little confused about their priorities right now. They're doing the politically correct thing, but they're not doing what makes sense from the public health perspective.
I think the United States Senate recognized that many people are frightened and fearful about what they've been reading in the newspapers and hearing on television. I think it was an attempt to respond to that. I hope that they will adhere to the recommendations of the Centers for Disease Control in making these policies, since it's the public health officials at the CDC who have really taken a lot of time to look into the facts and make the recommendations that will address the real problem so that it can be prevented in the future, and not just do things that make us feel better, but actually affect change.
But many healthcare experts say mandatory jail terms would prevent medical workers from being tested for AIDS, much less telling their patients.
The idea of criminally penalizing a provider who is involved in such a situation is absolutely unprecedented. No provider that I know of would ever deliberately infect a patient.
And despite all the controversy being caused by the Helms Amendment, the House of Representatives will still have to consider the measure. And leaders there say they're already planning ways to eliminate the jail term from the bill. John Holloman, CNN, Atlanta.
Pennsylvania Congressman William Gray is resigning. The congressman says his last day will be September 11th. The House Majority Whip announced last week that he would resign to become president of the United Negro College Fund. Originally, he had planned to resign on September 3rd, but now says he'll wait until Congress returns from summer break. Former Philadelphia Mayor Frank Rizzo was laid to rest today. Hundreds of mourners packed the church to bid farewell to the 70-year-old politician. Rizzo died on Tuesday of a heart attack while in the midst of a political comeback. Rizzo had been running for mayor again after a 10-year absence. He won the Republican nomination earlier this year. No replacement has been chosen.
Officials in Stillwater, Oklahoma still can't believe what they've seen. Apparently, 4 kids ranging in ages from 4 to 10 stole $4,500 worth of property. The kids have already admitted to breaking into storage sheds and taking bikes, toys, and jewelry. They haven't been charged, but officials are saying the kids may have to use their allowances as restitution. And one prosecutor says he hasn't seen too many 4-year-olds involved in 4-figure larceny.
California's Attorney General says he will file civil and possibly criminal charges against those responsible for a toxic spill. Engineers have been tracking the spread of toxic weed killer as it moves into California's biggest water reservoir. 11,000 gallons of weed killer was accidentally spilled into the Sacramento River on Sunday. So far, an estimated 100,000 fish have been killed. The chemical has begun settling on the bottom of Lake Shasta and is threatening irrigation and drinking water safety.
And coming up next, Tonight in Business.
And you'll find out about the latest business wars. Stay with us.
Attention all Americans 65 or older on Medicare. Secure Care Medicare Supplement insurance with expanded benefits is now available in your state. Whether you have a Medicare supplement or not, consider the expanded benefits, affordable rates, and personal service of Secure Care. Call 1-800-552-9900. Don't miss this opportunity for free information on Secure Care from National Home Life. Call 1-800-552-9900. 1-800-552-9900 now.
They're built with pride, quality, commitment. For over 65 years, the Ford Twin Cities Assembly Plant has been building America's best-built, best-selling trucks. And now, while supplies last, a limited production run of the special Northland Edition F-150 and Northland Edition Ranger. Built right, here in the Northland, by your friends and neighbors at your Quality One award-winning assembly plant.
Dishwashers to refrigerators, a KitchenAid will last.
Now get up to $100 cash back on selected KitchenAid models. See your dealer for details.
I'm John Balch with Consumer's Choice. I'd like you to listen to what our customers are saying.
I'm Mama Vitale from the Venetian Inn in St. Paul. I know that Consumer's Choice has brought many new customers to our restaurant and the Venetian Inn Playhouse. If you're looking for great food and entertainment, you give Mama a call. If you're looking for advertising that works, you give Consumer's Choice a call.
Consumer's Choice can work for you, so make that call now.
Tonight in business, IBM warned this would be a bad quarter, and it was. The world's largest computer company says profits plunged more than $1 billion to $114 million, down from $1.4 billion a year ago. Locally based Cray Research says it is speeding development of a new level of supercomputer to deliver in 1993, a year earlier than planned. That puts an end to speculation about buying or taking a partner, as the company says it will do it alone. Northwest Airlines has been promised $20 million additional dollars in incentives for its base in Hibbing. The additional monies are coming from the Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation Board and the City of Hibbing. TV Guide has told the Fridley plant of Quebecor Printing that it will not renew its contract after 1992. This will probably mean the closing of the plant, says a company spokesman, because TV Guide is 60% of its business. In national stocks, the gainers are Stratus Computer, Tektronix, and IBM. The losers were Texas Instruments, American Cyanamid, and J.P. Morgan. In regional stocks, the day's gainers were National City Bancorp, TCF, and Hutchinson Technology. The losers were ADC, Airtran, and Dairy Queen. The Dow Jones was unchanged today, so it stayed at yesterday's closing of 3016 on heavy trading of 187 million shares. This weekend, a new office supply superstore opens in several locations in the Twin Cities. Bismart arrives just 1 year after one of its chief rivals, OfficeMax. Some think their presence could set off price wars and put the squeeze further on your neighborhood office supply store.
The sign is going up over what used to be a Highland Superstore. It will open Sunday as a Bismart, here and at 5 other locations in the Twin Cities area. Bismart is a huge office supply store catering to the needs of small and medium-sized businesses. They will go head-to-head with last year's arrival, OfficeMax, but don't think they're saturating the market.
All of the office product superstores, which we are part of, that's us, the one you mentioned, and the other two biggest, only still do 3% of the total $100 billion office products business.
So it's always this question of, are we going to put somebody out of business?
Analysts think for the short term, Bismart and OfficeMax can compete with each other and survive, but there's not much speculation on the long term.
This category has grown throughout the country by multiple chains moving into a town, people trying and grab for share, and there's been a very significant amount of acquisition activity within this category throughout the country.
Bismart was drawn here because it likes the demographics of the Twin Cities, young, progressive, and entrepreneurial. And in taking over the sites of Highland Superstores, they found ideal locations.
To come to this town, you really do need more than one location. And to have the right kind of location takes time. And so we have explored, as Bismart, the Twin Cities market for years. But in order to be here, we wanted to have at least 3 or 4 really good sites.
But the real story may be the impact on neighborhood office stores. Nelson's at Southdale has closed within the year. St. Paul Book and Stationery has survived.
There's going to be some continued fallout away from the mother and father small office supply store, just as more people become aware of this category. But it's likely not going to be as impressive a change as we had last year when the first discount store opened in the area.
Bismart will open a 6th location later this year.
And coming up next, Primetime Sports.
Jim Gilliland will be joining us with highlights of tonight's Twins game. Stay with us.
So, you got a new muffler today, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You go to the discount place like I did.
I decided quality was just as important as low price, so I went to CarX.
CarX?
They had the exact muffler I needed.
Well, yeah, but listen...
And a lifetime guarantee.
Yeah, but...
But how much did it cost?
Yeah.
See for yourself.
That's less than I paid.
Exactly.
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, boom, boom, boom. Don't worry, call the CarX man. Once you crash, you can't stop. Yeah, you grab 'em, you want 'em, you crunch 'em, you crush 'em, you crush 'em. Once you pop, Pringles.
Pringles. Now, get a great new Honda Civic sedan for just $172 a month during Richfield Bloomington's summer sale. Record-breaking prices now at Richfield Bloomington Honda.
If David West could find the form he showed as a hot prospect in the Mets organization, it would certainly make the Twins the favorite to win their division, what with the way Morris, Erickson, and Tapani are throwing. But West hasn't looked too good since coming back in that game against Toronto. First inning, a double play helps out the Twins, and they get out of a jam. Second inning, West helps double play, and West gets out of a 2-on jam again. Third inning, the center fielder Kirby Puckett bails him out. Carlos Quintana single to center. Wade Boggs runs through the stop sign at third base. Puckett throws it to Brian Harper, and Boggs, shaken up, is out at the plate. He wasn't hurt too much, though, because he had 4 hits in the game. Came back after that. And in the 5th, it was still scoreless. Tony Pena puts one where none of the fielders can find it, high up into the screen. Red Sox led 1-0. They got another run in that inning to make it 2-0. And Joe Big Train Hesketh, who had beaten the Twins last week at the Dome, was stymieing them again, spinning a nifty 9-hitter into the 7th inning. Twins strikeout, steal out, double play there. Puckett did make the game 2-1 in the top of the 7th when he doubled in Scott Leyes, who has 3 hits tonight, off reliever Jeff Gray. That one came as a Hesketh's luck could only take him so far. Then, with 1 out in the top of the 9th, Jeff Reardon on pitching for the Red Sox. Randy Bush hits a drive that goes close to the foul pole. Now, the first base umpire called it foul, and the fans started to cheer. Tom Kelly ran out on the field, and the home plate umpire overruled the first base umpire, and it was called fair, much to the dismay of the Red Sox. Catcher Pena and manager Joe Morgan were on the field. Kelly turns around, runs to the dugout. His argument's over, and the Twins had tied the game at 2-2, and that's the way it stands right now in the bottom of the 9th. Steve Bedrosian on, pitching in relief of West and Carl Willis. Mark Guthrie has also appeared. Now, let's check out the competition tonight in the division. Twins started the night leading by 4. Oakland and California play late Elsewhere, Milwaukee at Chicago, the White Sox making a lot of noise lately, and one guy who really hurt the Twins when they played the White Sox over a 6-game series was Robin Ventura. He hit 3 home runs in that series in Comiskey, and he's doing well tonight at home off Dan August. Tom Trebelhorn doesn't like what he sees. The fireworks are going off, and some people don't get too excited when the home team is doing well. Ventura hit 2 home runs. He also had 2 RBIs on a double, giving him 4 on the night. Pasqua has a 3-run homer, and the Sox are beating up on Milwaukee. It is 12-2 in the 7th inning. Texas is losing. Toronto stays hot. Baltimore has beaten Seattle, and Detroit beating up on Kansas City. In the National League, the Pirates continue to roll. The Mets would keep pace if they beat the Dodgers. San Francisco shut out by Montreal. Atlanta leading St. Louis. Houston over Chicago, and Philly and San Diego just starting. British Open resumed today with the swashbuckling Spaniard Seve Ballesteros in the lead by 1 shot. Let's look in on the great man now as he plays at the windswept Birkdale. He had a 4-under par yesterday. Today, in the wind and the rain, Seve strays a bit off course. Not as good as he'd have liked there. Let's try again here on 18. Seve now leaning left. The shot must be, and yes, into the shrubbery. But he recovered nicely. He had a 73 and is still in the hunt at 1 apart. If you get rid of that hat, everything would have been fine. But nice conditions again for British golf. The sun was out, and some people were using it as an opportunity to watch golf. Others, well, just weren't all that interested in how things came out. Top American, Gary Hallberg, the California. He has made some noise on the regular tour. He is a tri-leader. After 2 rounds at the halfway point, Hallberg rolling in a birdie there. Let's take a look at the British Open scoreboard. He is tied with a couple of guys you may not have heard of, Mike Harwood of Australia and Andy Oldcorn of Britain. He's got to be a hometown favorite. At 1 under par, Mike Reed, Wayne Grady, Steve Elgington, Mark O'Meara, and Seve. Even par 7 players, and I'm sure you've never heard of any of them. Plus 1, some Americans, Watson and Couples and Tway and Jose Maria Alafabo, and then some more famous names. Open champ Payne Stewart, U.S. Open champ at +3, and Nicholas at +5. More golf here now. Sean Pappas, a 25-year-old South African, taps in here at the Heartland Classic in Bowling Green, Kentucky. He had 12 birdies and 6 pars on his way to a round of 59. That is the first tournament recorded 59 since Al Geiberger shot a 77 at the Memphis Classic, 59 at the 77 Memphis Classic. Let's get that straight. Well, it's time to talk about the tale of 2 Olympics. The Special Olympics officially opens here tomorrow, as you must know by now. But out west in La La Land, they're struggling to make the U.S. Olympic Festival much of an attraction to the sporting public. Athletes are playing before more than half-empty stadiums and arenas, and this on the heels of last year's most successful festival in the history, and it was in the Twin Cities. Those are the attendance figures for the last 5 years, but the total for Los Angeles in '91 is less than half of last year's pace, and officials are writing it off as just too big a town to get solidly behind the festival. Well, call me a bit provincial, but the festival was a big success, and this one, too, no doubt, will be the Special Olympics. The International Special Olympics got a extra special greeting today at the site of the village, the university, by no less a celebrity than Bill Cosby. 91 different countries represented, no problem for Cos, because the Cosby Show is seen throughout the world. He was here representing Eastman Kodak, one of the major corporate sponsors, but he genuinely seems to enjoy his ties to the Special Olympics.
Now, all you people who are racing and swimming, listen to me carefully. It is not important whether you win or lose. It's important that you stay in your lane. Now, some of you, you're wandering all over the place. Stay in your lane, because your huggers can't find you. And then they hug the wrong place.
The huggers can't find you. That's his goal there when you designated huggers. And he's also a little bitter that somebody, he ran track with the Special Olympians last year, and somebody cut over into his lane, and he didn't win.
A little bit of coaching.
Very entertaining for everyone, yeah.
All right, thank you very
By
much.
the way, loved your Aussie accent.
Thank you very much.
It was very good. Coming up next, beating the heat on wheels.
The story coming up when we come back.
If you can move this, you can get a loan from any bank.
But if you're merely human, come to a First Star Bank, because you shouldn't have to move mountains just to get some money. First Star, a simpler approach to banking.
Things were out of control. Lighting awful. Heat. What heat? Superintendent's nightmare. So in comes Honeywell. They revamp our lighting controls, our heating and cooling equipment. And suddenly we're saving energy, money, and a learning environment. 180-degree turn. This school's come a long way. The kids have to.
When people depend on you, depend on Honeywell.
How would you like to fly, jump, and roll all in one event? Well, that's what hundreds of skateboarders from around the country did in the Twin Cities today. They took part in the 6th annual Aquatennial Skateboarders Jam, and photographer Ken Peterson was there to capture the event.
Pretty tough to me. Minneapolis crowned its Aquatennial royalty tonight at the Orpheum Theater.
And Joy Fleury, Miss Rockford.
Brenda Fleury, Miss Rockford, was chosen the 1992 Queen of the Lakes out of 49 queen candidates from communities throughout Minnesota. The 19-year-old is a sophomore at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. Miss Northeast Minneapolis, Natalka Kramarthik, and Jacqueline K. Hakes, Miss Crosby Ironton, were crowned the Queen's Attendant Princesses. The new queen will preside over the 53rd annual Aquatennial celebration. And one or two good days for the weekend?
A very atypical July day shaping up for tomorrow. Mostly cloudy skies, a pretty good chance for some showers and thunderstorm, maybe some heavy rainfall amounts southern Minnesota. Highs low 80s. I think Sunday a little nicer, a little brighter.
Okay, watch out for the barbecues. Duck inside. All right. Jim.
Two notes, Greg LeMond has dropped to 5th place in the Tour de France Mountain Stage, and the Twins are tied up in extra innings. The Drosian got them out in the ninth.
Okay, like your French accent, too. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us this evening. We do appreciate it. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Think we can make it?
We gotta try. It's got everything we need. Fuel, supplies.
I can smell the coffee.
Yeah, but how are we going to pay for it? Sometimes it's worth going a little out of your way for a clean running gasoline that protects your fuel system. Conoco, hottest brand going.
Win valuable prizes. Play Conoco's Cars We Love game. Going on now. There's a place where people come from miles around to feed their souls, where the sauce is spicy, the ribs are cooked slow, and the action is fast. But don't bring your American Express card. Don't bring your Visa card.